record it and take questions. Thank you very much for your time, Coach.
You got it.
And the first question we have, just raise your hand, please, if you'd like to ask Coach a question, comes from Ian Steele at Providence, Rhode Island.
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm just wondering if you could explain the thought process in not calling a timeout at the end of regulation and overtime last night.
Something we talked about all year. I trust our guys to make the right play. Prevents the other team from getting matchups off the floor, prevents the other team from getting their defense organized. And hindsight's always 20/20, so it sounds good to say, yes, we should have done this, but we've prepared all year as a team to be able to take advantage of those situations. More times than not, it worked out for us. I thought at the end of regulation, it worked out. We got the last shot, which is what you want. You don't want to give them an opportunity to. At the end of overtime, hindsight's 20/20. I should have called it to help us get a 2-for-1 or get a couple more possessions. And so, obviously with 14 seconds left down one, you want to get as many chances as you can. So, I'll definitely learn from that.
Hey, Joe. Jalen mentioned after last game needing to be more aggressive late in the games to get more shots, just 3 shots in the fourth and none in overtime last night. How do you feel about kind of his desire to get more shots in those moments? And how do you think you guys need to involve him more to, make him feel like he's getting enough looks in those moments?
Yeah, I think he also said he was okay with our offense and we were getting great looks and that we were executing well. And so I think it's a balance and it's a duality. I think 2 things can be true. I think he has to get more looks, and when the ball's in his hands, good things does happen. And I think he's doing a great job of making plays for us. At the same time, our clutch time offense was 1.35, and we did a great job as a team of executing and fighting for the best shot. And so I think both of those things can be true, and we just have to make a conscious effort to continue to execute.
Next question is from Chris Ryan.
Hey, Joe, hope all is well with you. Just on James Harden for a second, obviously look at the production differences in 1 and 4 versus 2 and 3. What do you see you guys doing well against him in the second and third game, and what obviously needs to improve, in the fifth in order to minimize his output?
Yeah, I think just continue to be effective on the Harden and Embiid pick and rolls, and then when we get into isolation situations, doing a great job forcing them inside 3 and trying to take away some of his threes, trying to take away some of his isolations.
Go back to Bobby Manning. Bobby?
Hey, Joe, on that same point, it looked like James was able to get a lot more switches last game compared to earlier in the series. Is there something different they're doing with their screening to kind of create some of those mismatches, cross matches, whatever you want to call it in those situations? Because it looked like Jalen had a lot of success going over those screens in games 2 and 3.
Yeah, I think they did a good job of dragging the screen out and creating separation between him and Embiid, which forces us into a situation of, do we stay with the ball and recover back to Embiid on the pop, or do we switch it? So, we just have to continue to, fight for those matchups, and then just be ready to adjust when necessary.
Next question goes from Gary Washburn.
Hey, Joe, you talked about not calling timeouts because you don't want the defense to get set. Is a set defense more effective against a set offense? Like, if you call a timeout, everybody's in the right place, everybody's reminded what to do. Doesn't that equip you better against a set defense? Wouldn't that organize you more? Or do you feel like kind of taking it without a timeout, you guys are more organized in the defense?
I think in that particular situation, we're more organized in the defense because we know the matchups, we know who we're attacking, and we know our spacing. I think both can be true. I think you can be just as organized if you do call a timeout. At the same time, the variables are much different. Philly does a great job in the end of game situations of changing up their substitutions, changing up their matchups, and changing up their coverages. And so when you have the physicality and the execution that they have, you just balance which one you're willing to attack. And so in multiple end of game situations, you want to get your players in the best position necessary. They do a good job of deciphering, is Embiid over the ball? Is he not over the ball? Are they taking away the top pass, or are they over the ball trying to discourage the pass. They did a good job in game 1, I believe, of changing the matchup on who was on who. And so, I calculated that and thought in a decision to keep Maxey on the floor, keep Embiid spaced, keep our spacing. It's something that we've worked on all year and something that we're pretty good at.
Chris Ryan again.
Hey, Joe, just on that point, once again, you mentioned that your philosophy throughout the year had been not to call a timeout in those situations, but you, in hindsight, looked at it a little bit differently after game 4. What kind of jumped out at you and made you change your mind in regard to what you should have done?
I mean, hindsight, probably you just learn, obviously if it doesn't go well, it's a mistake. And so, I think the 2 lessons that you learn from that are, call it right away, get a 2-for-1, get 2 shots, get a couple extra possessions. Or we have to have a clear understanding as a team that we got to go faster to get a shot, and we've done both over the course of the season. We just didn't execute either one in that particular situation, but in that standpoint, once we're losing pace, I got to call it so we can get a shot up earlier.
Any other questions for Coach? We'll find one from Gary Washburn again.
Hey, Joe, what's the best? I mean, I know you don't want to give me your strat. What's the best option when obviously teams, like literally yesterday, 3 guys went after Tatum. Like they were completely like, you're not beating us. White was open, Smart was open. Obviously, Tatum made the pass to Smart a little late, but how can you make
Al
it?
was open in that 112, 111 where Tatum passed it to Al in the corner and went in and out.
Yeah. What can you guys do to make it easier either for Tatum and not to have to pass against 3 defenders, or can Tatum actually take that shot or get those shots? Like when teams are trying to stop your star players from scoring in the clutch, how do you give either the players the power to score or the equipped to score, or do you just rely on on some of the other guys to hit open shots? Like how tough is that decision?
I mean, I think we did both last game. I thought Tatum had 2 empty side isolations that he scored on in game 3. Game 3 was it? And I thought last night we got to a couple things where he was able to get some quick catches, a live catch, and get downhill. Same time, we have a great team. And I thought on that last possession that you talked about, if we stayed spaced, there would have been 2 2-on-1s that we could have had some multiple angles. I think in that, when there's like 4 seconds on the clock, you don't know if you're going to shoot it or pass it. And so you have the tendency to cut into the paint to try and get an offensive rebound. But I thought a couple of our cuts eliminated the 2-on-1s. I thought, Tatum did a great job of just getting in position to make the right read.
Thank you very much, Coach. We'll wrap it up right there. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.